right? And when it comes to the ability for Black women to defend themselves against attackers, both known and unknown, it is quite obvious and very painfully clear that Black women do not have the right to defend our lives and to defend ourselves from great bodily harm. I want to bring this story to you all, and some of you all may be familiar with the story, some of you may not be. So let's go to Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee. Shout out to the little sister, the young sister Amber, who does the remix morning shows on Friday. She said, "Make easy money pimping hoes in style, Tennessee." I said, "God damn, them South niggas are so smooth." Shout out to 8 Ball MJG. Shout out to the whole Trey 6 Mile. Shout out to everybody representing Tennessee. Shout out to Nat A up in this bitch. We got a whole Tennessean up in here with us. So yo. So anyway, March the 12th, everybody. March 12th of this year. Memphis is a tough little town. It's like down south Baltimore. Like, don't fuck around, right? So this pastor, whose name is Pastor Ricky Floyd, who is a very well-known pastor in the Memphis area. I just had the name of his church on the tip of my tongue. It's one of those very long names of churches, like Yo Nigga in Jesus Transformation Church in Christ. I don't know what the name of the church is, and that's not to blaspheme or be disrespectful. You Jesus know I love him and shit, but like, he's a pastor of a church there in Fraser, specifically in the part of Memphis, right? March 12th, Pastor Ricky Floyd was tragically gunned down in the parking lot of Mama's Bar and Kitchen, which is located in South Memphis on the corner of Kentucky Street and E.H. Crump, okay? And it was about 1 a.m., a little after 1 o'clock. And apparently Pastor Ricky Floyd, as part of his ministry, it was not uncommon for him to show up at Memphis area clubs and bars, because he was there, proselytizing. He's there preaching the word of Jesus. I don't even object to that. If you're going to be a Christian pastor and you want souls or sinners or whatever you out there trying to recruit to Jesus, to God, okay, yeah, go out to the club, so long as you not in the club, pastor, like some of these low down clergy be. But it didn't appear as though Pastor Ricky Floyd was a dirtbag in that respect. However, on this particular evening of March 12th, what Memphis police allege is that the pastor was inside of Mama's Bar and Kitchen, where he got into a discussion. He was in there passing out, come to Jesus flyers and stuff. And he got into a discussion about the Bible with a group of 3 friends who were hanging out together. I'm trying to discern. I believe the dynamic of the friend group was 2 women and 1 man. Apparently, the conversation got heated, and police alleged that Pastor Ricky Floyd took the phone of one of the friends in this group, threw their phone through a can of beer, and there was words exchanged. One report even alleges that Pastor Ricky Floyd may have put hands on the male member of the friend group, the friend trio, right? So the pastor exits the bar. Some of this is allegedly caught on the establishment's closed circuit surveillance video, right? So as Pastor Ricky Floyd is leaving Mama's Bar and Kitchen, one of the members of the friend group, whose name is Samantha, goes outside, and she's recording him because she wants to get his plate number, okay? For reasons I'm not quite sure. I don't know if she intended to report the incident to the police. I don't know what her intent was, but she wanted to identify the pastor via his plate. And that is where the situation kind of took a turn. And I want us to look at the package from the local TV outlets there. And then we have some video that was allegedly shot by the woman who is now charged with murder of Pastor Ricky Floyd. Now, let me say a couple things before we show this tape. To be clear, This man and this woman were strangers. They were not known to one another. Apparently, this kind of story exploded on Facebook, and people were making a lot of wild accusations that perhaps this woman was his mistress, or that there was something untoward between them, or their relationship dynamic. That has been debunked by not only the women's attorneys but police as well. That Samantha and Pastor Ricky Floyd did not know each other, had never exchanged words with each other until that night. So I want you to know this. This woman is now charged with voluntary manslaughter. This woman just received a bond and has just recently been let out of jail until her next hearing. But I want you guys to tell me whether or not she even belongs in fucking jail. Whether or not she even belongs in jail. I already know the answer. I want to know what y'all got to say. And I already know what y'all going to say. But let's watch, and you guys can get more information about the story. Let's take a look.
Breaking news on your news leader at 4 today. We're learning more about what may have happened to a well-known pastor who died in the streets of Memphis early this morning. Pastor Ricky Floyd was shot and killed outside a South Memphis bar and kitchen. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Alex Coleman.
And I'm April Thompson. We're just getting information in from police this afternoon. An affidavit says 3 people, including a woman who is now charged, got into an argument with Pastor Floyd. It goes on to say that a video from Mama's Bar and Kitchen shows Floyd threw the suspect's phone to the ground along with the beer can.
Now, police say he started to drive away but got out and walked toward her. Then she reportedly moved toward Floyd, and that's when police say he walked backwards away from her and then fell to the ground. Of course, this has all sent shockwaves all across Memphis and the Mid-South.
Indeed, those in the community as well as other pastors are responding hours after learning the man who preached nonviolence is one of the city's latest victims of violence.
Crime scene tape blowing violently in the wind marks the spot where a violent attack happened overnight. It was just after 1 a.m. when police were called here to Mama's Bar and Kitchen at the corner of Kentucky Street and E.H. Crump Boulevard. Listen as dispatch relays information from Broadcastify.
It was involving a female shooting a male who was constantly approaching her in an aggressive manner.
Police, along with other first responders, soon arrived, but there was nothing they could do. This ambulance sat idle, as the man shot was never rushed away from the scene. Instead, this is where he was pronounced dead. The victim, we learned, is Pastor Ricky Floyd, the senior lead pastor of Pursuit of God Transformation Center in Fraser.
I don't know what to say. A pastor would be slaughtered. It's just rare, and I guess it's rare, but it seems to be an occurrence that's happening more often.
A manager here at Mama's Bar and Kitchen told us off camera this did not happen inside the establishment. They're also telling us it happened once they closed up. She wanted to make that clear. However, what's unclear is what prompted the deadly shooting. A source with first-hand knowledge of the case says there was a dispute between Pastor Floyd and a woman later identified as Samantha Marion. The source goes on to say the pastor threw her phone before things spilled into the streets and then spiraled out of control, ending with Samantha Marion allegedly shooting and killing the pastor. She has since been charged with voluntary manslaughter, a killing in which someone is said to have acted in the heat of passion. While police continue piecing together what happened, there's a community far and wide grappling with grief.
To all of those in Memphis and Shelby County and throughout the country and throughout the world that had the chance to encounter this brother's life and ministry. So it's definitely a time to mourn.
For your news leader in South Memphis, Jarita Patterson, WREG News Channel 3.
And that police affidavit says the suspect, 42-year-old Samantha Marion, admitted to the shooting. She's charged with voluntary manslaughter and is set to be in court tomorrow. And earlier today, Dr. Keith Norman, pastor of First Baptist Church Broad, spoke with us about his colleague and good friend.
while he was a great preacher, the staple of his mark on the city of Memphis would be his love and care for people and innovative approach to doing ministry outside of the pulpit and outside of the four walls of the church. He was strongly committed to that, and I'm prayerful that we will remain focused in that area and keep that legacy alive.
He went on to say Pastor Floyd was an advocate and his voice will remain.
And we do want to let you know we will have Team 3 coverage throughout the evening here on News Channel 3 on this shooting that has captured the attention of the Mid-South. At 4:30, we'll look back at Pastor Floyd's history of helping people in our community. Then on the news at 5, you'll hear how the Heal the Hood Foundation benefited from his work. And at 6, another prominent man of the cloth who has worked with Pastor Floyd for decades speaks with us.
I'm backing back 3 times now. When I do that, you know. Sir, please. Back the back. Back. I'm telling you, bitch. You know what?
Quite a contrast between the final moments of Pastor Ricky Floyd's life versus the very laudable things that members of his community had to say about him in the wake of his passing. And let me just say this, you know, me as a person, we as a platform extend our condolences to the pastor and his family and his church community. And I want to say also that nobody is perfect. Nobody has perfect control over themselves, their emotions at all times. We all have a bad day. However, if I'm a woman and a man has already been aggressive to me twice in a short time span, allegedly taking Samantha Marion's phone while inside of the bar and throwing it, and then, as you saw in the video, and Will, I might ask you to re-rack the second video and run it back in just a couple of moments here. So, because I think you kind of have to look at it a couple times. Well, I did for obvious reasons, as y'all can deduce, but y'all might want to look at it more than once yourselves, okay? Because what you see is obviously someone filming a white Chevy Tahoe, and you see the Chevy Tahoe put its brake lights on, stop, and you see a man, a large man, might I add, a man that is clearly over 6 feet tall, clearly over 200 pounds, exit his vehicle, hike his pants up like he ready for some fucking action. And I don't mean, you know, fun action. I mean, throw them hands action. I don't know, aggressive action. His whole movement was aggressive. And I'm assuming you hear off camera, you hear the woman who is believed to be Samantha Marion, the 42-year-old woman who is now charged with shooting this pastor. By the way, guys, Samantha is alleged to have only fired 1 shot. When the ambulance got on the scene, the ambulance didn't even take him to the hospital because she popped him 1 time and he was done. I just wanted to throw that in there. But his final moments, unfortunately, were not the pastor's finest moments because he looked scary. He looked like someone that was coming to, at minimum, confront aggressively a woman holding a cell phone. And the police allege that Samantha Marion went to her vehicle, retrieved her pistol or retrieved her handgun and had it behind her back. And I don't understand what the fuck that has to do with any fucking thing. And I'm going to tell you why. Part of the reason why Samantha Marion, I'm assuming when police arrived on the scene, why, according to that news report, that she openly admitted to what she did is because Tennessee, as you guys can imagine, is a stand your ground state. If you, as a person in the state of Tennessee, as in a lot of these stand your ground states, my state is not a stand your ground state, but in stand your ground states, If you believe that you are about to experience great bodily harm, or someone is about to unalive you, or you believe that someone is about to unalive someone else or cause great bodily harm to another, you're allowed to intervene and use deadly force. In the state of Tennessee, Tennessee is also open carry, no permit, baby. Nat A, tell them about it. Tell them how they sell the pistols at the Publix in fucking Tennessee, right? You don't need no permit. Open carry, no concealed carry. Samantha Marion was well within her legal rights to possess a firearm. She was well within her legal rights to have a firearm on her person. She was well within her legal rights to stand her fucking ground. Okay. And to be clear, this lady didn't know this man. This lady, he, she might have knew he was a pastor after he had told her, after try to, do his little evangelical spiel in the bar at 1 a.m. Okay, pastor. All right. But she didn't know him. It doesn't seem like she knew him, despite Pastor Ricky Floyd being a well-known person in the Memphis area. In fact, so well known, his community work is so deep there. The Shelby County District Attorney had to recuse himself because of a personal and public relationship that they had with Pastor Ricky Floyd. And now this case is going to be tried by another prosecutor from another part of the state. But I challenge you guys, if Samantha Marion had been a white woman and a very large black man was running up on her meaning business, and she'd have pulled out and shot, do you think the white woman would be charged with anything? Even if a white woman had shot another white man, it's a little bit more dicey. The white woman might have been charged because, you can't take out the A1s, without an inquiry, an investigation. But when it comes to black women defending themselves either against predators or abusers that they know, like an intimate partner, like a spouse, or versus strangers, as in this case, black women are not given the benefit of the doubt. The laws pertaining to stand your ground, the whole, I got a right to carry, the whole 2A or the highway crowd, always mighty, mighty silent when it's a black woman using her Second Amendment constitutional right in order to defend and protect her life. And the only thing I can take away is, I guess she was supposed to let the man put hands on her. I guess she was supposed to let the man slap her, punch her, kick her, strangle her. Who knows what his intentions were? But the message that black women continually receive, remember, I covered a story here recently from Northern Virginia, Prince William County, a murder case that's pending from a black woman, Latoya Crabb, who shot and killed her husband after she said that he threatened to kill, quote, everybody in the house, and allegedly charged at her with a knife. She shot him dead. They charged her with first-degree murder. So what is the message, kids? What's the takeaway from the legal justice system, from the criminal justice system? Black women, you have to be harmed before you can defend yourself. You have to bleed. You have to be bruised. You have to be hit. You got to be stabbed. You must be shot. What's the message here? Like a black woman, you cannot be uninjured and claim self-defense. You got to get beat the fuck up before you can claim self-defense. Nah, Joe. Nope. We're not subscribing to that, kids. Not subscribing to that. This woman, Samantha Marion, does not deserve to be in jail. Again, she's 42 years old. She's a mother of 4. Up until just a couple of days ago, she was being held on a $100,000 bond that a judge refused to lower, claiming that she was a threat to the public, that she was a public safety threat. Isn't that amazing? Somehow, a black woman hanging out at a bar, minding her fucking business, when a man wants to engage her engage her, mind you, right? Because that's his whole reason for being there, to try to convert others, to evangelize, to minister the gospel. That he obviously engaged her, didn't like what she said, became belligerent, obviously had no control over his own emotions. And by the way, that was something that was running through my head as I was looking at that video. Will, you got the second shorter clip ready to go? Let's look at the video one more time.
I'm backing back 3 times now. When I do that, you know. Sir, please. Back the back. Back. I'm telling you, bitch. You know what?
You know, the very sexist rhetoric coming from the manosphere generally, this is shit that men have said about women forever, right? Is that women are so emotional. Women don't have any control over their feelings. Or you can't let a woman be president because she get on her period, she gonna hit the button, she's gonna blow everything up. Sure thing, buddy. Right? It's the women that are in danger of sending us all into a nuclear holocaust. Of course. But that is the first thing I thought of. I said, look at this man, even though he's not saying anything, his whole body language shows that he is a bit unhinged. And I hear this woman in a calm, steady voice telling him, I done told you 3 times now, back up. That it doesn't get more matter of fact than that. It doesn't get more. I'm giving you a very clear verbal warning. I've told you 3 times now, back up. I got to tell you again. And this man couldn't control himself. He had no discipline over himself. The pastor, no discipline over his rage and his reactions at the thought of this woman either besting him in some sort of religious debate, or the audacity that she must have had to think that she was going to record his information, get his vehicle tag number, and maybe cause some harm to his reputation. But I was having a conversation earlier, and you know, if it had been one of them YNs out there, right? let it have been one of them young soldiers out there, even by itself, right? If that had been a 42-year-old man, you think Pastor was getting out of his truck to run up on some dude like that in Memphis, where the guns go click clack? You know what I'm saying? In open carry states like Tennessee, like Indiana, like Virginia, where else they open carry? Every fucking where, in Florida, Texas. The expectation must be that everybody is strapped with something. And if you don't move accordingly, I don't know what to tell you. And listen, that is absolutely an indictment of how bloodthirsty and violence obsessed and gun obsessed that American culture is. It is all those things, okay? And in order to survive American society being those things, you have to move accordingly. And you cannot be out here running up on people in any fucking where, but especially in open carry states, and thinking that the shit's going to be sweet. And what I'm afraid for Samantha Marion is that, again, like so many of women, period, especially those that are locked up and incarcerated, as y'all have pointed out to me in the chat, there's some TikTok accounts that I followed that actually work with women who are both incarcerated and who are recently released. And all of them, y'all, I mean, such a high percentage of women who are in jail are there because they said enough and stood up to their abuser. The ones that are there for like murder or attempted murder, they said enough. I'm not dealing with this. And they take matters into their own hands. And for this woman, you know, this was not a domestic violence situation. This was a stranger in the street situation. What I'm hoping, and let me say this, because this going to sound fucked up, and I'm not intending it to sound fucked up, but it is what it is. So Pastor Ricky Floyd, again, I told you guys, This kind of what he does, meaning that he is known to go to Memphis area clubs and bars during the late night let out hours and try to preach to people. And I've watched a couple of his videos where he said God woke him up at 2 a.m. to go down here to the club and talk to these young men. Okay, cool. I mean, what I'm hoping, and this is something like that, but maybe God used this man as an example. Don't be running the fuck up on women. Don't be getting women fucked up out here. I'm hoping that this man's legacy in his work throughout his community, promoting nonviolence and being against gun violence, will definitely be remembered and memorialized. But I'm hoping that the takeaway that can come from his untimely death is do not get women fucked up out here. Don't think that just because you got 8 inches and 100 pounds on a woman that you can just come on up here and puff up, talk all the shit, be as aggressive as you want. Again, Samantha Marion had no idea what this man was about to do to her. And guess what? I applaud her for not waiting around to find the fuck out. You told him to back up. He undoubtedly had to realize you had the thing, she had the thing on her, the Tule. What you thought was going to happen, Pastor Ricky Floyd? Again, I'm sorry this man is gone. At the same time, I hope that any man that would even think of being physically confrontational with a woman who is not being physically confrontational with you, I hope that the lesson that can be taken away from this man's death, it is not a murder, by the way, definitely not a murder. What could be taken away from this man's death is that women can and should and will defend themselves. And if Samantha Marion, again, has to be judged by 12 rather than carried by 6, then that is what it's going to be. And if you live in Shelby County, and if you know people that live in Shelby County, Black women in particular, all women in particular, but Black women in particular, I need you to please make sure that you are on the voter rolls so that way you will be counted as a potential eligible juror in what will inevitably be a trial, because I hope this woman fights this. I hope that she does not accept a plea agreement, and ultimately whatever she and her attorneys decide is going to be the best outcome for her, she's going to do that. I know, but she doesn't deserve a day in jail. She doesn't deserve a day in the fucking penitentiary. Given the laws of her state, giving the parameters and the threat that she was facing down, this lady had every legal right to put one in the pastor, because the pastor was out of fucking pocket. The pastor was being aggressive. The pastor appeared to be out of control. And if it had to be the pastor to serve as an example to the other ones, let it be the Lord's will. And I'm not saying that shit to be facetious nor funny. I'm saying that to be dead fucking ass. Because I'm not sure if God woke that man up at 1 o'clock in the morning and told him to go down to Mama's Bar and Kitchen or not. But I would think that God would have wanted his servant to be safe and told him to keep his ass in the house. So maybe it was the devil that woke him up. I'm not certain. But what I do know is that Samantha Marion does not belong in jail. She does not deserve to be charged with voluntary manslaughter. In fact, I would like to know how she got to be such a good goddamn shot. I would like to know these things. So anyway, we will be keeping an eye on this story. The next time Samantha is scheduled to appear in court is going to be early April. So we will keep you posted. But let me tell you this, that the motherfucking prosecutor ought to be shook. This prosecutor should not believe that they will be able to secure a jury conviction in Shelby County. Really in no fucking county, okay? And this is what, again, Black people, I don't even know. From what I understand, the Memphis community is a bit divided behind this story, this instance, again, because the pastor does have such a good reputation in the community. At the same time, a lot of people understand and saw the video and feel as though that Samantha Marion had an absolute right to self-defense and should not be charged. But if they decide to go forward with prosecuting her, we need Black women to pack out the fucking jury pool. So many Black women have experienced violence, not just domestic violence, but gender-based violence. You know what I'm saying? Not only in some of our intimate relationships, many Black women have experienced violence from men we didn't even fucking know, who didn't know us, who just knew that because we were Black women, that they could engage in violence against us in a random public space and won't shit gonna happen. Because Black women are not protected, contrary to falsified public opinions. They oh, Black women protected. Yes, no one fucking protects Black women. Black women have to protect themselves, which is what Samantha did, and you see she's being punished for it. Like Latoya Crab in Virginia, also being punished for it. We're not gonna stand for this, y'all. We're not gonna stand for this. I mean, fuck. If the judicial system as an institution is crumbling underneath the Trump administration, well, fuck, maybe we should help it out, to be perfectly honest. Okay. Because I don't subscribe to a system that is going to persecute women for protecting their own lives in the face of clear and obvious threats. That's the kind of justice system that is skewed against me. So therefore, ergo, it is not dispensing justice. It is dispensing justice along a particular hierarchy, along a particular narrative, and Black women don't fit into that hierarchy, nor do we fit into that narrative. A Black woman defending herself was labeled a public safety threat. Go fuck yourself, judge. Anyway, hopefully we can get more information about how best to support Samantha Marion. That's another thing. When these Black women are charged with simply protecting their own lives, I think they're sometimes reluctant to ask for help because innately they know and understand that they believe they're not going to get it, and that's not an unfounded belief, right? Because, for example, when Black women are murdered by the pigs, the crowds that come out are fractions of the size of the ones that come out for some, not all, but some of the Black men whose stories gain prominence. Black women, like I think Breonna Taylor and Sandra Bland was amongst the first two that actually brought the people out. But there were so many other, countless others before and since, that folks just don't show up in the same way for Black women. And I know that these Black women who are facing the staring down the literal barrel of the criminal justice system for simply protecting and defending themselves, they know that and they sense that. But I want them to, we need to counter that. We need to prove that wrong, So anyway, we try to make some inquiries to Samantha Marion's legal team, trying to wait for a response. But I'm not, if I find out that she's crowdfunding in any way or petitions or anything like that, I will be certain to share, because this lady should not spend any time in jail. She should not spend any time away from her family. And while I'm sorry, and again, I keep kind of defaulting to this kind of respectability thing towards the pastor because he was a pastor and he did good work, but he didn't look good in them last minute. That was not a cute scene. It wasn't. That wasn't very pastoral there, Reverend Doctor. You know what I'm saying? You ain't look all that. That's not what Jesus would do right there, sir. So anyway, I'm gonna keep you guys posted on that story.